What's good? Welcome to NFL Daily by Chat Sports. Tyler Jones here with you. Thanks for joining us. Coming up on today's show, we are talking about the latest NFL rumors involving DeAndre Hopkins, Dalvin Cook, and Tom Brady. We'll go over all that and more coming up in just a few moments. Before we do, with the offseason getting closer to the end, which NFL team has had the best offseason so far? What do you think? I want to know what you guys believe is the team that's had the best offseason so far to this point. Tell me in the comment section. Give me one team that comes to mind that stands out among the rest, and we'll get started with today's show. We begin with Dalvin Cook, the Minnesota Vikings running back, for now anyway. According to reports, he's down to two teams that he would like to play for after he moves on from the Minnesota Vikings, like we all expect to happen, whether that is by release or trade. It would shock all of us, for the most part, if Dalvin Cook is back in Minnesota somehow next year. Armando Salguero, one of the best NFL columnists in the country for OutKick.com, he had this to say from his reporting on the situation, stating this. Cook is from Miami. He has made it known through sources he'd like to play either for the Dolphins or with his brother James Cook for the Bills. And the Vikings have let it known Cook probably isn't in their future. So here's three things you need to know on the Dalvin Cook status. The Vikings asked Cook for a pay cut. He ultimately declined. The Vikings then tried to trade Dalvin Cook and see if they could get something out of him, but to no avail in that regard. And Cook's future could be in question until the cut deadline. We could see that the Vikings take their precious time on trying to make a deal of some sorts until the very end of the 53-man roster deadline. Could be when the Vikings wait to get this done. There's no pressure to get something done immediately. They could wait and see if there's an injury or something during the preseason and let that trade market pick back up potentially. So with that, ultimately I think Dalvin Cook is going to be the starting running back in one of those two places that was mentioned, Miami or Buffalo. And before even this reporting from Armando Salguero, those two were considered the heavy favorites to land Dalvin Cook anyway. I get it. I agree. The Vikings don't have to get something done here very soon, that they can take their time, but ultimately it would be a shocker if he's back in Minnesota. I do think he ends up with one of those two teams. We'll see where he goes. Our pinned comment today, we're asking you, where will Dalvin Cook play in 2023? Will it be one of those two teams we talked about, Miami or Buffalo, or will somebody else factor into the equation? Let us know what you think in the comment section, where you think Dalvin Cook is ultimately going to end up in 2023. Tom Brady making a return to the National Football League, coming out of retirement. Not so fast, my friends, as the great Lee Corso would say. Tom Brady said in a statement today that he is certain that he is never playing football again. Listen to this. I am certain I'm not playing again. So I've tried to make that clear, and I hate to continue to profess that because I've already told people that lots of times. And this comes on the heels of the recent situation in the Raiders, where Tom Brady is now a part of the ownership group, holding a minority stake of Jimmy Garoppolo having his foot surgery and not knowing when Jimmy G is going to come back. And so the rumblings picked up again. Could he be the first ever owner/player of a football team? Now, I know that Tom is making a point to say, hey, I've already said time and time again I'm not playing, and I hate that I keep having to do this, but no one needs to feel bad for Tom Brady here. He brought this on himself when he unretired last year. Now, I'll say this much. I do believe Tom Brady this time when he says he's not playing again. I do believe that he is committed to being retired and this Raiders ownership group and his future with Fox Sports after this year. I do think TB12 is going to do those things. But with that said, of Tom complaining about people questioning whether he's going to play or not, this is all on him. He only brought this on himself with his past actions that he did at this time last offseason. Tom Brady retired after 22 seasons in the NFL and recently joined that Raiders ownership group with a minority stake. We mentioned the Jimmy Garoppolo situation as far as the foot surgery. Josh McDaniels said he has no anxiety about Jimmy Garoppolo's return. Although we have not heard the exact timetable, the timeline of when Jimmy G is going to make his return back, the hope is within the Raiders organization that Jimmy G is back prior to training camp. And Josh McDaniels seems pretty confident that that's going to happen. But we'll see how his recovery from the surgery goes. Will Tom Brady come out of retirement? We don't think so here in NFL Daily, but what say you? Tell us what you think in the comments section if Tom Brady will come out of retirement or not. Y for yes, N for no. Tell us what you think in the comments section below. Today's edition of NFL Daily is brought to you by our friends at BetUS, the exclusive sportsbook partner of Chat Sports. If you go to chatsports.com/bet, you can get a 125% deposit bonus. Put $100 down. You get $125 to spend for free at checkout with promo code NFL Daily. And you can bet on the NBA Finals, which begin tonight. Game number 1 between the Miami Heat and the Denver Nuggets. The Nuggets are big favorites tonight. 9 points is the line in favor of Denver. Over-under for Game 1, about 219.5. Get your bets in now, whether you're wanting to bet on Denver or Miami or the over-under. Maybe you're feeling like betting on some baseball or the Stanley Cup Finals, whatever it may be. You can get your bets in today at chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily to get your bets in now today. That's chatsports.com/bet. Promo code NFL Daily. So who wants DeAndre Hopkins? A new development from Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer says that the market has kind of soured on DeAndre Hopkins at this point in time, of teams not really showing that much interest in him as a free agent. We know about D-Hop getting passed over as far as the trade market goes. Now as he sits around as a free agent, according to Breer, there's teams that have said just altogether, we don't want to go through with this with D-Hop. Here's more from Albert Breer. That said, there's a healthy divide on exactly what Hopkins has left. I asked one veteran team executive what's still there, and he answered via text, not much. He can't run anymore. Another answer was pretty different. He's still a good player, good route runner, big physical target that can play a ball in the air. He's still a threat. And a third played both sides of it. Now, personally, when I look at DeAndre Hopkins, I think he still has something to offer. I know that he's in the back end of his prime now, and he wasn't necessarily the same player that he was a few years ago, but he was still very good. Now, I would like to have him on my team, but that doesn't mean that you have to go over the top to pay for him. It also comes down to not just do you want him, but is he worth the asking price that the market demands? And we've heard rumblings that D-Hop is looking for money similar to what Odell Beckham Jr. got, and the consensus was that the Ravens overpaid for OBJ. So do you really want to pay that for DeAndre Hopkins at this point? That's a tough decision that teams will have to ask themselves, especially with limitations on cap space this late in the offseason now. You look at the numbers from DeAndre Hopkins last year. In the 9 games that he played, coming off the suspension, he was still very good, I thought. 64 catches, 717 yards, and 3 touchdowns. His average yards per reception was down considerably from what it was in 2021. He was averaging close to 14 yards reception in 2021. That was down to 11 in 2022. So sure, maybe he can't move around and isn't as shifty as he used to be, but he's still a very good pass catcher. He's still a big receiver and can have an impact. Maybe he's not your number 1 receiver anymore, but he could still, I think, be a very good number 2 receiver in a lot of offenses across the National Football League. Where will DeAndre Hopkins play this season? What is your prediction of where he will ultimately end up? Tell me in the comment section. Give me one team. We've heard that the Bills and the Chiefs are the favorites. We've been told it's an arms race, but it's not over until he signs the dotted line of where he could end up. Tell us where you think he will sign in free agency in the comment section below. Hit me up on social media, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, talking about your favorite NFL teams on social media. And I'll see you next time here on NFL Daily. Thanks for joining us.